One.
Really?
Yes.
Again? Hello, we're here with another episode of the Hellbreaker Sequence. We're going to do a little two-person thing today. Because literally no one else is free. But it's all good. It's all good. We have lots of stories to tell in this universe, and we're gonna find out what is up with the not the Hellbreakers, the Forgotten Heralds. Today we'll probably also find out what's up with the Hellbreakers. But yeah, we're gonna focus in on the Heralds today, and I'm excited. This is the first time, Carly, you and I are just gonna do a role-playing game thing. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Let me see here. Oh, I need to pull up my notes. So, what else do you have written on your sheet there of like things that Hell has been looking into? I'm just curious.
I think he's really been doing much else.
Just basically tagging along with
Tagging along with Iseret.
Yeah, okay. And then doing the investigation of the Tannerin.
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie, cool. So, the thing that I had, let's see. Okay, just kind of gathering some of the seeds here of what's going on with these people, the heralds. So the idea that I had was, I know that Riva, the main character of the Hellbreakers right now, wronged the heralds for some reason, and
right,
basically that whole trip to go into the dark dimension to save Iseret involved more than just you, and you were the only one who survived it except for Riva. That was the, I think, the assumption we made first. We might have retconned that by now with what we had decided about Iseret, because I think we forgot that part. But what I have written down here is that Riva caused suffering to the Forgotten Heralds by leading some of their members to their deaths in a dangerous area. And I think we had decided that they... Because, what was it? You had the whole character playbook thing for the machine, for the agent, right? Mark, when you are sent somewhere, no organic should survive. And then you have in your backstory, the last time Riva and I traveled together, they were the only organic to survive. Right. In our backstory together. And so I think the original assumption we made, at least, was that Riva was with you when you went to the dark dimension. But it could have been some other time that either you went to the World of Shadows or somewhere else. So we should decide that now. Where was it exactly that Riva and you traveled together? And she was the only organic to survive. Because I think we decided that was the same instance in which she wronged the Heralds by getting them killed. Getting a bunch of them killed. So what happened there? What do you think?
I don't know.
I mean, what other stuff has Hell been up to, like, before Iseret? Like, do we want to just tie it into the Iseret thing, or have it be something else? Maybe that's really the main question. Yeah, something else? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so where is somewhere else? Well, okay, so the backstory we have is the last time Riva and I traveled together, they were the only organic to survive. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we went somewhere that organics can't survive.
Mm-hmm. It just means on the journey.
On the journey, yeah. And whatever happened there meant that everyone but you and me died. Because any heralds you brought with you also died, and it was my fault. That was my thing that I brought to the table in that little backstory thing. Yeah, mark when your actions cause suffering to a group you have no quarrel with. So I accidentally got some heralds killed somehow when we were traveling together. Mm-hmm. So what would I travel with you to do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know that much about the Hellbreakers, so.
Well, so from what I remember of what we decided that the Hellbreakers are and the heralds think of the Hellbreakers is so the Hellbreakers are basically a revolutionary faction within what I've termed the Jadonites, is the group of people that are like the Hebrews in this proverbial situation, the slave race. Mm-hmm. And so the Hellbreakers are like trying to free the Jadonites as a whole, their people as a whole, from the oppression of the Perihelions. And the heralds were sent here by God, by the Holy Father, to stop the apocalypse, to save the world. But when they failed to do so, the kind of situation that they found themselves in has led them to believe that the Hellbreakers might be the key to the hope of some other saving happening here. Whether or not like the heralds actually have the plan that it's like we need to get the Jadonites and the Hellbreakers off of the planet or whatever, like who knows at this point. We don't really know much about what the heralds think that their plan is right now. There's probably a mix of people that, want different things or think different things. But in general, the Forgotten Heralds believe, if I remember correctly, and I probably have to find this exact wording, they believe that, let's see, the Hellbreakers renewed the Forgotten Heralds' faith in the future because the Hellbreakers defend the defenseless. So, at the very least, the Heralds admire the fact that the Hellbreakers, in theory, try to defend the defenseless. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, with this journey that we took together, Harhel and Riva, was it a journey to fight Tannerin, save people from something? What do you think? What kind of stuff does Harhel do? Because right now, we've only seen him with Iseret.
Yeah.
Before Iseret, what did he do? What sort of stuff was he interested in?
I have established that he's mainly like a messenger. Like there are other Forgotten Heralds that are like
more warrior types,
literally built to be like warriors.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of them on screen. The
yeah,
guys that have swords and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Harhel fights with a trumpet for a reason.
Okay. So was he sent to give a message to the Hellbreakers?
And yeah, I think that makes sense.
It was related to so maybe it was something like there was a threat to that which is holy that brought Harhel to the Hellbreakers, and basically the threat was something related to like something the Hellbreakers only could really deal with. And Harhel was sent there to be like, all right, guys, I will lead you to this bad thing that's happening, and you guys have to take care of it. Like, it has to do with probably, ooh, okay, there's a thread we can tie here. One of the threats going on right now is noble hunters chasing after prime genetic specimens. That thing on the map there with the chariots and stuff. And those are people of the same race as the Perihelions, who are basically, their whole thing is they capture people who are like, prime specimens and ship them to the Perihelions specifically, or whoever wants to buy slaves, right? Specifically for particular tasks, right? So they probably capture young women who are like good breeding stock. They probably capture young men who could be really good as like trained warriors or whatever it is. But they're like slavers and stuff. So maybe what happened is Harhel was like, there's an outlying town or something that's being raided by these noble hunters, or the people who consider themselves noble hunters anyway. And you gotta save them, right? Like, these are your people, and I'll lead you to save them. And maybe what ended up happening is Riva made a mistake, did something, wasn't good enough, something happened, and maybe only Harahel and Riva escaped that whole situation, and maybe the people that Riva brought with, got captured by these noble hunters, and maybe Harahel, who brought a couple of Forgotten Heralds with him, they also got captured by these noble hunters. So, because I feel like some of these people dying in some noble cause, okay, the heralds just do that all the time, right? Like, that's something that just happens.
Yeah.
But them getting captured, like, that's bad. Deal. Yeah, that's it's a bigger deal, right? And these noble hunters could probably sell these heralds to, like, you know, the perihelions or something, and then that would be really bad because they'd probably try to take them apart and, like, you know, that could be a whole thing. Okay, cool. So that I'm fine with that if you're fine with that. Sounds fun. Okay, so I know that Riva wants to make amends for this situation. But you know what? Let's just start with this. Let's do this. I'm going to make a move for the Hellbreakers. I'm going to make the diplomacy move or whatever it is. Because Riva wants to get a meeting with one of their VIPs, right? So they're going to roll reach, and then whatever they get on this roll will determine the exact specifics of this meeting, whether or not it's like Harahel's in the middle of some battle and, you know, there's something else going on and Riva just shows up in the middle of it, or if it's just like maybe she goes to my vision. Whatever that is will be just kind of decided by this roll. Okay. So what is their reach? The Hellbreakers have a reach of -1. That's fun. Let's see if there's any... Ooh, do I have treaty on you? Yes, perfect. All right, I'm going to spend 1 treaty to call in a debt and gain a +2 on the move. You can resist this if you want to by spending 1 treaty or holding together. But
if you have a reason to resist
it. Okay. So I'm going to roll this at +1. Here we go. Okay. It's a 9. That's not too bad. So let's consider... I gotta take off this treaty. Gotta add it on your sheet too. Okay, cool. 9 on that move means conduct diplomacy. When you call on your family's allies, say what you want from them. A meeting with one of their VIPs. And roll plus reach. On a hit, you get what you wanted and 1 data. On a 7 to 9, your agents had to get help from a third party. Say which of your allies helped them seal the deal and give them 1 treaty.
So I get 1 treaty? Or no?
Well, it would be a third party. Yes, this is a good question. I mean, normally we would do this with everybody, and so one of them would be like, it would be me. I think the one that makes sense, though, in this situation is the recollection, because you're hanging out with Easterette right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so maybe I have to go through the recollection to get this meeting, and so I have to give them 1 treaty. That makes sense to me. Hellbreakers. All right. Perfect. So I get 1 data. And a meeting with one of your VIPs. Okay. Carly, what do you think? Where does this meeting take place? It's done through the perihelions. So Easterette isn't there because obviously Connor's not here. But Horror
You
Hell
mean
has...
the recollection?
What did I say?
Perihelion.
Oh,
Perihelions.
yeah, the recollection.
It's like, wait.
Not the perihelions. Yeah, the recollection. So Horror Hell's been hanging around them. So where exactly is this meeting taking place? Why do I have to go through the recollection? What do you think? As far as we know, Yseret is still in Nadir. That city below the sun, the artificial sun.
I mean, maybe you have to go through the recollection just because Harhel's with Yseret and that's the only way they can contact him right now.
Right, but like, where do we find Harahel then?
Oh.
Like, what is he up to then with Yseret, or taking a break from Yseret? Because that's the thing, Yseret can't really show up in this thing.
Yeah, right.
So like, what is Harahel up to right now, separate from Yseret, that like would lead to a meeting? He's been researching Tannerin stuff. He's been helping Yseret.
I mean, he's probably just in like a library of some sort.
Ooh, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, do you want to... That's a roll you can make, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any data still? Let's look.
Don't know.
You have 2 data.
Ooh. Shiny.
Yeah, if you want to roll in the family moves, uncover secrets, right? When you gather your family specialists in council, roll plus data spent. That's one thing you could do, or technically, you could actually... Okay, because this is the thing, right? You're not gathering your family specialist in council. If you're going to a library, what you're really doing is because this is in Nadir, you're probably conducting diplomacy, right? When you call in your family as allies, you're probably doing this to the recollection.
Oh, right.
Right? And then your thing you want is access to a tightly guarded location or item, which is like their arcane library.
Right.
Yeah, so you'll have to roll reach.
Okay.
Keep in mind that you do have 1 treaty on the recollection that you could spend to give yourself +2 on this roll.
So what would be the...
Though you might actually not even need it because you guys have a +2 on reach already.
Yeah.
So it's up to you though. It would make that a +4, which would make it very, very easy to succeed if you want to spend that treaty.
Just do +2.
Okay. Yep. 2d6.
Okay.
+2. Nice. Yep. Perfect score. On a hit, you get what you wanted and 1 data. So now you have 3 data. So many data. Keep in mind that you can spend data on a character level to, if I remember correctly, give yourself advantage on a roll. Yeah. So you have 3 data that you could spend to give yourself advantage on any rolls that might be upcoming for Harahel. All right, cool. Yeah, so you get access to this library. And Riva has to go through the recollection to like find out where you are and then get access herself to this library where you are. So I guess let's do zoom in. So story move. When you focus on critical scenes where a handful of people might change the course of history over hours or days, say where you are on the map. We are in some sort of secret library, which I guess we could add to the map, right? Like, that seems like a thing we should do.
And it would be in Nadir, right?
Yeah, it would be in Nadir, but we can make a note that there is, like, a secret arcane library. What's the name of this library?
Yeah, I feel like that's something Connor.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, we'll just say it's the secret arcane library, and then Connor can name it when we get to him. That makes sense. Okay, cool. I moved the world. Not me to do that.
Oh no.
Okay. Story moves. Say where you are on the map. We're in the Secret Arcane Library. The main character's present. Say what they're there to do. You are there to what? Exactly. What are you trying to find out about the Tannerin right now?
I mean,
you know they're dangerous. You know that if the Heralds wanted to compromise their morality, they could use the Tannerin to gain prestige.
yeah.
You know that the Tannerin that is feeding off of Iseret is indeed feeding off of Iseret, but also Iseret in some ways is feeding off of the Tannerin. I think that's pretty much what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's all sorts of other angles you could take here, right? Like, it just depends on what Harahel is concerned about. Because he's obviously not concerned enough with Iseret right now to just be like, Iseret, you need to, like, stop binding yourself to this Tannerin. But
well, I mean, I think the reason why he can't do that is because he doesn't know, like, what disconnects them. So that's probably what he's trying to research.
Yeah, maybe you are concerned.
Like, how
about
do
Iseret.
I? How do I disconnect a person from a Tannerin?
Okay, perfect.
What can you?
Yeah, that's what you're there to do. Riva is there to seek your forgiveness, or at least the forgiveness of the Heralds in general. And whether or not Harahel is specifically like mad about that instance, the Heralds as a whole are.
Mm-hmm.
So you can decide that for yourself as well. But
yeah,
cool. Peyton wrote in chat, "Are the baby bunnies still okay?" There's baby bunnies out in the leaf pile out in the backyard.
Oh.
And when he was over here with his dad, they were gonna like take this leaf pile, and they started lifting up some of it, and then a bunch of baby bunnies just started running out of there, and they gathered up all the baby bunnies from all the different parts of the yard, and then put them back in their little nest. And I haven't checked on them recently, Peyton, but I assume they're still okay because the leaf pile is undisturbed. So. I know, so cute. They're adorable. Yeah. So Riva is there to do that. She's there to find you and try to make amends. The GM describes details of the environment or asks the players questions about it. So I would ask Connor like what this library looks like, but I'll just make it up since he's not here. So probably it looks like it's honestly a good question because it's probably underground. Because it's secret.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm imagining like Gandalf and Gondor, like that whole little secret with all the papers and scrolls and stuff like just strewn about this chamber. Like you probably just have like a candle or something, right? Harhel does as he's sifting through all of these old cracked documents. And it's like this small chamber that has been set aside that's stacked with books and scrolls and stuff. One little chamber in this library. Let's see. Other players may create or pick up quick characters to fill up the party. There is no other players. Characters select gear according to their family's assets in the established fiction. So, do you want all of your stuff on you?
I don't remember all the stuff.
All the stuff you normally get. I'll take just the character playbooks. Oh yeah, you have Clamor, or Claymore rather. Clamor and your blessed jewelry. Right. Because you travel just instantaneously, so you don't have any other.
I don't
gear,
see
really.
why I wouldn't bring those.
Yep. just kind of take those with you wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Riva. Where's Riva? There she is. I don't know how much of her stuff she had to actually bring. Her three things are heavy and menacing tools, industrial exosuit, and horse. And I don't think in this scene she has any of those things, probably.
Definitely not the horse.
Yeah. She obviously took a horse to get here, but in this scene, they're just in the library, so she doesn't have it.
Have it underground with her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think she has anything. I think she wants to look as unmenacing as possible. She does have one thing, though, and it is a device she got in the mini session I did with her, and it is a tattered white cloak. So, first, let's describe Harahel. Would you remind us, for the audience's sake, what Harahel looks like, and then describe what he's like doing?
So his like, I don't want to say skin because I guess casing.
Yeah.
Is like a dark brownish red, kind of like rust. And gotta look at a picture of him again. He's got like colorful robes on and really interesting looking jewelry. I haven't cited exactly what it looks like yet, but it's like silvery.
I think it's hidden, so I think it's technically underneath your stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your robes. So he's just like sifting through all these old documents?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just kind of like Gandalf, just going from like one edge of the table to the other, just like making notes of certain things. I'm imagining like Gandalf and also Sazed in this, just like doing a bunch of studying.
Okay, I mean, let's have you make that roll, right? Like how your studying has been going. Let's take a look. Oh, you have some cool moves. I forgot that you have like these special machine moves. Interesting. Wait a second. Did you get damaged at all at any point?
I think so. During the thing with Iseret where she like
that's what I thought too. Because I'm actually looking at your character sheet, and because your synthetic being move, it says there's a cost to all of these special things you get. Because you're made of custom parts, you need professional care to heal any kind of harm. So your harm doesn't just go away naturally, so you're still dinged. Real quick though, we can look at professional care and see what that actually involves. Yeah,
I can't read any of the smaller text on the sheet. It gets all fuzzy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On your character sheet on the... Huh. That's weird. Because it's pretty clear for me. What was I just
wait. If I actually zoom in using Roll20, it lets me see it.
Yeah.
I was just trying to zoom in.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Let's see. Professional care. When you rest a few days in safety with access to a relevant surplus, heal all harm. Let's see what surpluses you guys have, just to make sure that you would have healed all your stuff.
I've got justice and leadership.
I know. Yeah, right? Like, you'd have to have something like medicine or parts or, right? So you're still... So I think this is probably one of the problems in a lot of ways of being a herald is you get hurt. I mean, most of the time your scars remain. Yeah. So you're still dinged.
Yeah.
So Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking at your other moves real quick. You have scanning platform. After analyzing the current scene, roll plus lore, you get to ask some cool questions. Tactical computer. Your tactical analysis and comms all but guarantee your team's safety. You can always respond to a call for aid with lore, even remotely. When you have time to assess an enemy before acting, you can fiercely assault with lore. Wow, that's cool. But none of those help you here because you're doing something else.
Could I not use scanning platform to just like find something different?
You're analyzing
about
a scene if you were looking at the room, right? But you're not necessarily. You're just reading books. So, let's find what move this is. Obviously, it's unearth forgotten lore. Well, okay, it says when you uncover a landmark or custom from the past, roll plus lore. So this would be if you were like trying to do this to the library itself, or because I don't know if Tannerin binding to people constitutes as a custom from the past. Let's see. It might honestly be... Yeah, because you have access to this stuff. I'm just trying to figure out whether or not you can take advantage of it without a roll. Because the rolls for Unearthed Forgotten Lore don't necessarily... Well... You know, honestly, I think scanning platform makes the most sense for the situation, right? Like, used in this context, even though it's sort of slightly
because it's
different.
like he has all of these books laid out, and he's like looking for commonalities and stuff.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. So roll plus lore. You can always spend a point of data to, which would make sense in this instance because all of your data is almost at this point about Tannerin. To give yourself advantage, which means you would roll 3d6 and take the two highest. Then it would be plus 1 because you're doing lore.
So 3d6 plus 1?
Yep. Okay. 13. -2, so 11, but yeah, it's still a success. Because you're dropping the lowest one there. If you want to do that, have it automatically do that, you can always write in D1 or K2 after the roll 3d6, but before the plus. So it'd be 3d6, K2 plus 1. Because that would mean keep 2 of the dice, which would be the highest 2. It won't, if for some reason, I haven't found the macro to do it with disadvantage, where it gives you like the 2 lowest dice yet, but at least we can do it for that. Okay, cool. So it's a full success. So on a 10 plus, ask 2 questions from that list from scanning platform.
So am I asking these specifically in order to get any information out of this, or enable to see what information is there and get answers from it?
Both.
Okay.
What do you mean by the difference there?
In the sense of like, if I were to ask what, if anything, is valuable here, would that be in reference to what information is valuable here, or what out of this information that he's found is like the most valuable, like to specifically what I'm trying to find.
Oh, I mean, I imagine the stuff that you have in front of you is all just Tannerin related,
Right.
right? Or at least arcane powers related in some sense. So probably the more specific version.
Okay. So I guess specifically in relation to like trying to find information on unbinding a Tannerin from a person,
Mm-hmm.
I would ask, what if anything is hazardous here, and what if anything is vulnerable here?
Okay. So the hazardous information is the information about what is hazardous, rather. It's a good question. So I think, what if anything is hazardous here? You find basically that the Tannerin, unbinding from a Tannerin in this instance, unconnecting from a Tannerin, it seems to be possible, but it will harm Iseret. At the very least, basically, I think, based on that, what is hazardous and what is vulnerable, both of those questions combined, the kind of information you get is there is a way that you've kind of gleaned from these texts to unbind a Tannerin, and it has to do with a particular holy ritual that is related to the Holy Father. That some of the people who used to be like the Jadonites probably did. It's pretty much an exorcist ritual, right? Is basically what this is. But it will hurt Iseret. Like, that's not to say that there isn't another process that you could do that wouldn't hurt Iseret, but the one you found,
The one that I know of would.
yeah, would. It would irreparably
Okay.
damage Iseret in some unknown way that you don't really know how to quantify.
Okay.
Because of the bond, ripping them away with this ritual would basically amount to, you know, what's a good analogy? Ripping off a bandage that the flesh underneath has bound to, right? Like,
right.
That the blood and
So
the scabs, it's
unbinding her will leave her less whole than she was before she was.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so you know of a process, some sort of like ancient holy exorcist ritual that you could do, that would free her from the bond rather.
Okay. So it being hazardous is the fact that it'll leave her less whole than before, and what's vulnerable is Iseret or whoever you try to unbind.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And I think, based on the hazardous thing too, I think one more small piece of information you get is that the process may make the Tannerin, angry. It may, and it won't necessarily like banish it to the world of shadows. It will just unbind it from Iseret, so it would still be around, like in the same space. So you'd have to deal with it after that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So really, the answer to the questions is what is hazardous? The unleashed demon, and what is vulnerable? Iseret, because it will wound her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've basically kind of like made these notes, have pretty much discovered all that you can, and then the man that let you in to the library, a guy in a alabaster mask, like white mask, and like thick robes. He walks. He kind of like the door's probably like ajar slightly, and he knocks on it politely.
Yeah, Harahel just says, "Come in."
Yeah, and then this man that showed you in before comes in and says, "Holy revealed herald, there is there is someone to see you, a visitor of sorts."
Send them in.
And he says, "Do you not wish to know the identity of this visitor?"
I feel like he honestly is just so like entranced in his studying that he's just
It's
not
not
thinking
really
about
paying.
it. He's
Yeah,
just like, just go away. Give me a second.
yeah, yeah. So he just kind of like nods, all right, and then just steps
Yeah.
out. And a moment later, yeah, Riva steps in. And Riva, I'm gonna post a pin in Roll20 there for you, if you want to know what Riva looks like. I'll post it in chat too for anyone who's watching. Yeah, Riva is olive skinned, dark hair, is wearing basically dark traveling clothing, except she has a tattered white cape or cloak strewn about her, and she probably has the hood up as she walks in, and then when she walks in, she takes it down. Harahel, would you make a roll for me here? I'm curious what you know about the cloak that she is wearing.
Okay.
Because it's basically a custom from the past is what this is. So you can roll Unearthed Forgotten Lore, which is just roll plus lore. To figure out what you know. And again, at any point you can spend a data to give advantage on a roll. You have 2 left.
Okay. So I'll just 11.
Awesome, cool, yeah. So you can ask, if you look at the character moves handout, it'll have the questions in there. On a 7+, you gain 1 data, so you actually get a data back. You have 3 again. And on a 10+, you can ask 3 of the questions there. So this is about the cloak specifically.
Is it a wonder or a horror?
It's a wonder, certainly.
Okay.
It's something very, very good.
Where is it drawing power from?
So this is the cloak of Jadin. Jadin was like basically the Moses figure,
Right.
that led these people to take up the industrial tools that were once symbols of their oppression and lead them into survival of the apocalypse, basically, after the Perihelians like yeeted themselves into Asimeth and stayed there while the world broke. And so it draws its power from the magic that is woven into its length. It's basically you've been very familiar with this magic since living among the Recollection. It's the primary stuff that the Recollection uses. It's like this particular art form of weaving patterns into silks and cloths and stuff that basically gives it something magic. So, yeah, it's magical.
Okay. What dangers is it hiding?
What dangers is it hiding? So,
if any.
Yeah, it's a good question. From what you know of the Cloak of Jadin, it's some sort of really very powerful magic item. But I think the danger is that no one really remembers what it does.
Okay.
right? And the danger is not
So it's just
in it's
uncertainty.
uncertainty, yeah, right? Like who knows what this thing can do and could accomplish in the wrong hands, right? Like it's danger because it's definitely powerful. Everyone who knows about the Cloak of Jad knows it's powerful, but nobody really remembers what it does. And I think that's because, from what you can remember, nobody's been able to access the magic in some time,
Okay.
and nobody's entirely sure what activates it or not.
Okay.
But yeah, you haven't heard, and I mean, you've been in touch with the Hellbreakers at least briefly. The Heralds have, and it's last time you remembered, their last leader, the guy that used to lead them before they like basically devolved into this town hall democracy where like everyone has a say and they couldn't agree on anything, was a guy named Alon. And Alon was basically like ousted and exiled from power, and he took the cloak with him into the wilderness, basically. And that's like the last anyone had heard of it.
Okay.
So her having it now, like Riva, especially Riva, like this is basically anyone who has this cloak is the leader of the Hellbreakers.
Okay. Interesting.
And last time you remembered, Riva was just some random agent of the Hellbreakers, not even a very important one at that. But now she literally is wearing the Cloak of Jadden, so.
I mean, I think he
Yeah, what do you say?
looks up from the books.
Very reluctantly.
Yeah. um, and he sees the cloak, and he just kind of he thinks for a second and remembers all of this stuff, and then he just kind of nods toward her and is like, "Fancy cloak you got there."
Yeah. So she flushes. So what tone are you saying this in?
It's like a very monotone, like you can't tell if he's being sarcastic
Yeah.
or if he's just kind of annoyed that someone's interrupting him.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Yeah, she pales. And she says, "Yeah, something like that."
Where'd you get it?
A friend.
Do I happen to know this friend?
I don't know. Did you ever have the pleasure of knowing Alon?
Did I?
I don't know. You can make it up. You've been alive for like hundreds of years, so
Probably then.
yeah. I mean, what was your relationship with the guy? He's pretty like hard line, like gruff dude. And last I mean, you haven't really been in touch with the Herald's network right now, for the last bit because you've been with the Recollection. But I mean, you haven't heard any news about the guy for a while.
To remind me why he was exiled?
It's honestly unclear. Like a bunch of people tell different stories about it. Some people say that like he went too far on a mission. Some people say that there was like a coup and the people who were trying to be in charge were going to try to take the cloak from him, but then it failed because he took the cloak with him. Like it's unclear as to whether or not he was in the right or the wrong when he was exiled.
Okay. Yeah, I think Harhel just says, haven't seen him in ages.
Right. Harahel, I came to apologize for what happened. She just looks down at her feet. And so my suggestion as the GM is that, well, okay, so technically even if whatever Harahel believes, her ultimate goal here is to get the like good graces of the heralds themselves back, which would be more involved than just convincing Harahel. But yeah, so you just whatever you want to be true.
Yeah.
It was very personally involved for Harahel, which is why she's coming to you.
Yeah. I think because Harahel was also in the situation and he was the only herald that got out of it, I think he doesn't believe that she's really in the wrong, but like the rest of the heralds have to be convinced of that.
Got it.
Um,
and I don't think she knows that, because I don't think she's really seen you
yeah.
at all since
Okay.
the incident, and so she's
Yeah.
not even sure how you're going to react to this whole situation. So that's why she
Yeah.
says that, and she like looks down at her feet.
Yeah. So he says, trying to think of how we'd word this. Yeah, I think he just says, Riva, I don't blame you, but the rest of the heralds are a different story.
You don't. But it was my fault.
Not the way I saw it.
I froze. I didn't. I should have. Yeah.
I think he just says, I've heard that people freeze.
Right. You're a human.
Yeah.
What's to be expected? Yeah. Yeah, and I think she just kind of pales again and kind of shuffles from foot to foot, sort of like her weight, and says, "Well, I shouldn't have." Do you know the significance of this thing? She like tugs at her cloak.
Yeah, he nods and says, I know the general history of it, though it's unclear to anyone exactly what it does.
Yeah, I haven't really been able to make it work for me yet. Not exactly. But it makes me the leader of the Hellbreakers. They needed one, and I was the only one who was going to step up and do it. We need the heralds. I'm gathering allies, Harhau. We're going to put a stop to the Perihelions and their rule over this place once and for all. I need the heralds to be on our side when push comes to shove. Can you help me do that? Convince them. I was thinking I was going to have to convince you first, but
I'm trying to think of, because I don't think him, because I feel like he would have already tried to convince the heralds that it wasn't her fault. But so I'm trying to think of like what else he could do, or specifically how she could help him convince them.
mm-hmm.
I think he just says, I'll talk to them again, see what I can do.
Harahalite, it's more serious than that. Can you take me to them? I think this symbol, she tugs at the cloak again, might be rather powerful if I'm actually in their presence. We used to serve the same god, after all.
Used to?
She just deadpan stares at you, like she's unsure, like, what's true, right? Like, she doesn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think he says, yeah, I will take you to them.
We get the travel music.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah, so I mean, you're basically
he closes the book and a cloud of dust in the air.
Yeah. So basically, you're going to take them to my vision, then? Take her to my vision?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just making sure. So, I think what this is going to involve is a move. Let's look at the map here. See what's in between you guys. Nice. So I think this part of the homeland is still a bit dangerous, even though it's still part of like settled lands. So I think
would this be Forge a Path or Wasteland Survival?
Yeah, Wasteland Survival is I think what I'm thinking, because Forge a Path is more like specifically like climbing up a cliff or going across a crazy bridge. Wasteland Survival is like actually navigating and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, well,
I have 0 steel.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. I don't know if she has great steel either. Let's take a look. She has a +1 steel. But also she's not the one who knows where this is.
Right.
So I think it would be you making the roll, but she could probably help you.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you fail after failing to roll as well as you'd like, we can have her help you. But yeah, you just make the roll first. So plus steel.
Oh, nice. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I think it actually is Forge a Path.
No.
Oh, it's with force though. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was the same roll. Yeah, the only reason I'm saying that is because, like.
Oh, but my force is the same as my steel.
Okay, so it wouldn't matter.
Wait. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I was looking at the wrong stats. I have a +1 steel.
Oh, okay.
So my force is 0 and my steel.
Because the one thing I'm thinking, right, is looking at the options here, right? On a hit, you pick one. You lose something along the way. A member of your group is hurt or sick. An obstacle or threat is blocking your way back. Right. And
so,
then 10 plus also pick one.
My force is 0, so.
Yeah, so that would be the roll. I think it's Forge of Paths because also, like, right, the 10 plus move things on Wasteland Survival. You discover a hidden treasure in the wasteland. You discover a secret path. You discover a secret. Like, none of those things make sense for this situation.
Yeah.
It's just actually, like, navigating to this place safely because there are dangers that you could run across. So I think it's Forge of Path instead.
Yeah.
So when you find a way across precarious or dangerous terrain, roll plus force. So it's that 11. On a hit, you make the trip. On a 7 to 9, you pick 2. On a 10 plus, you pick 1. So pick one of those 4 options there in Forge Path.
Would the route you took is lost just mean that, like, the route that I've taken before I can't find, like, the same route? Like, what is that?
No, that would mean, so in the situation about climbing up the cliff, it would be like you cause a landslide and you won't be able to use that same route ever again, sort of a thing. The most obvious one here is you're exposed to danger as you travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, the only gear that Harhel has on him is his trumpet and his jewelry, and he's not going to leave either of those behind.
Exactly, yeah. And also that choice says, you can't take gear or other characters with you. So,
Right.
that would defeat the purpose too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's you're exposed to danger. So obviously, for thematic purposes, the danger is. Well, okay, so I'll frame the scene. So basically, what happens is you guys are picking your way through like the mountains, right? That are, or no, you're probably like on the plains, um, going to this little mountainous area that my vision is in, um, and you're kind of out in the open, like exposed. This whole place over here is basically like a blasted wasteland, in a lot of ways. And you guys are just picking your way across this. You and I are picking our way across this blasted wasteland. She brought all of her stuff with her. It was just on her horse, right? So she has her exosuit is um probably folded up in her pack. She has her heavy and menacing tools, which is basically like what amounts to like a sword made out of like scavenged car parts. And she's riding her horse named Dante. Yeah, but you can basically travel probably as quick as the horse at a trot or whatever. So it's like, but so I think right now you guys are walking. So she's just leading the horse along, and you're walking next to her or hovering or whatever it is you do.
Yeah. No one knows how he walks.
Not even him.
He just kind of moves.
Yeah. And then basically the only sound is just the sound of like the wind howling. And then you see a speck on the horizon kind of coming from the north. And the speck gets bigger and Riva kind of stops and it's like, there's something coming towards us. And looks at you.
Let's see. I mean, I think using scanning platform makes sense again here.
Yeah. So do we literally see like we get a viewfinder lens from Hell's eyes, and he's like scanning all this stuff? Yeah. So is your view literally like a robot's view, like we would expect in a sci-fi movie, where like you have all of these
kind of
nodes and things that are in your vision and okay, cool.
I think he can turn it off, but so he like specifically turns it on for this scene.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Roll plus lore.
Keep scrolling back up to see what my stats are. Plus 1, 4. Okay. 5.
Oof. Well, that's a failure. So you do not learn anything. Let's see the GM moves that I can do here. Ooh, I like this. Okay, so you start to zoom in on whatever is coming towards you, right? We get the like telescope vision or whatever, and you're starting to zoom in, and then you see you can see for a brief moment that it's basically what amounts to a chariot, but not just riding on its own, right? There's no horse carrying it; it's like a hover chariot or whatever. And it's like basically this like railed platform that has, people on it with guns and whatever else. And you recognize them as the noble hunters who look for prime genetic specimens. And as soon as you realize that, you see one of them have some sort of device in their hand and then point it like directly at you, and suddenly all of your senses just shut off.
No.
Except for, I think, your sense of hearing. Like, everything else is just gone. It's mainly your sight is gone, is what they really do. But yeah, so you're blinded for a moment, and you're like, all your systems are going crazy, and just for I mean, okay, yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna say that. But that's what happens. Suddenly, your sight goes down, and like, what do you do? What do you say? You didn't really get enough of like an angle on them to like see how many there were, what the weapons they had. Like, it's just a brief glimpse, and then.
Do I know what kind of weapons Riva has?
Riva has a sword, and that's basically it.
Okay. I mean, I think he yells at her to grab Claymore, because he's like, that's probably going to do better in this kind of a fight with multiple people than a sword is.
Right, so you just like hold out your like magical trumpet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what are your exact words? Like, how do you say it exactly? I'm just curious the tone that it comes across, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, is it frantic? Is it desperate? Is it angry? Is it calm and collected?
Yeah, I mean, frantic. Yeah, he's just like, take Claymore.
Take, what is this?
It's a trumpet.
I realize that. How do I work it? What's coming? What is that?
Blow into it.
I don't understand. Why don't you use it? Because she hasn't really noticed that, like, what's wrong with you.
Oh, so I don't like stumble or anything?
I mean, I assume you do,
see.
but like,
yeah.
How is she supposed to know? You're a robot. Like, you don't have any eyes.
Oh, that's true. Gosh.
She just doesn't know how to use it. Like, she's just like,
yeah.
And like is confused as to why you're not the one using it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he literally just says, I can't see.
What do you mean you can't see?
I can't see.
Did they? Okay. All right. So I what do? I blow at them.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And she's like squinting at the horizon, and then she just like brings up this trumpet to her lips, and then she tries to blow on it and make it work for her. So she's gonna make a move called Unleash Power, which is when you find a device, the GM gives you a few clues as to what it can do. When you use the device, say a thing you want it to do based on the clues and roll plus lore. So she has to like figure out exactly how to use it, like she would like some device that she doesn't know how to use, which is exactly what this is. So she's gonna roll plus lore. She has a -1 to lore.
Has she never seen me use this before? Because I'm assuming I would have had it in whatever.
Probably, but like before. Again, like seeing someone, it's magical. Right. There's weird stuff happening, and she doesn't know exactly how it works, so she's panicking. Okay, cool. So she is going to roll with lore. This is gonna go horribly. Yep, she literally got a 1.
Oh no. Can I help her in any way?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so you could like, are you just like describing like, all right, now put your finger right here and blow with this velocity.
Yeah.
Feel it in your soul, the justice that you want to
I mean, is there any a way that in this system I could functionally give her some kind of inspiration?
I mean, that's
Like,
basically what you're doing with the lending
right.
aid.
Yeah.
You're going to basically try to increase her result. So say what another character nearby can do to boost your efforts. If the group agree, the helper says how they do it and rolls an appropriate stat. I think probably lore for you, right? So go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your lore. You're excused.
Appreciated.
Thanks. You're welcome, rather.
And I think when he's like helping her on this, I think he specifically says um, like gosh, how would he phrase this?
Peyton wrote, "How does Carly's character blow a trumpet if it doesn't have a face?"
Well, that's a good question. I hadn't thought about that before. Probably has some kind of like, I don't know.
Mouth slit.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why the weapon works better for heralds than most people, because it's not like a human wind that's being thrust into it. It's
the
like
Holy Spirit,
just
the Holy Wind.
But yeah, I think he specifically says like, here's your chance to prove to the heralds that it wasn't your fault.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure. There you go, 10. All right, so on a hit, you increase your result by 1 category. Oh, you could have also taken advantage on that roll. I forgot to say that because we have backstory together. But it doesn't matter because you got the highest you get anyway. You increase your result by 1 category. 6 minus becomes 7 to 9. 7 to 9 becomes 10 plus. Yeah, so it just becomes a 7 to 9 instead. So, on a 7 to 9, unleash power. On a 7 to 9, pick 2. So, let's see. I get to choose. Okay, I'm going to choose the first 2. So the device does exactly what you wanted, and the device can be used again. Which means I didn't choose the 2 options. You don't arouse other devices in your environment, and you avoid the device's side effects.
Oh gosh.
So first, tell me, Carly, what are the side effects of someone using this who maybe shouldn't use it? Like, does some sort of like holy smiting happen of me? Like, what is the side effect that I get here for using this when I probably shouldn't? Because this is like a holy relic.
Yeah. It probably is really bad on her hearing.
Right, yeah. She is not prepared for the incredible sound that this makes. Yeah, so basically
so she's like maybe temporarily deafened.
So she's deafened, you're blind. So yeah, so she does this, she blows on it, and yeah, describe for us, it's the first time we've ever seen Claymore in action. Like, what does it look like when this thing rips through with its sound waves on the approaching chariots?
I hadn't thought about what it looked like. Hmm. I want to say it's just like a bright mist that like shoots out of it and just like envelops whatever the target is.
Okay. What was the first part of that description? Sorry, I missed it.
Like a bright mist.
Okay, got it. So is it like moving really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like this mist that
Yeah.
just blows out. Yeah, and then envelops the target.
Mhm.
And it's non-lethal, so it doesn't kill any of them. But does it just like basically like they just go flying and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Um, yeah, they're scattered across the wasteland here. And so she's like, drops it and is just like, oh, what is and like she's temporarily deafened. But it also rouses other devices in the environment. Um, trying to think of what that means in this instance.
I mean, the people had devices on them, right?
Yeah, but this is like weird magical or technological things.
Right.
I don't think they have any of those necessarily on them.
Okay.
Um, so I think what happens is she turns back to you and then really loudly says, "Did I get them? I can't really see from this distance."
Well, I can't see it all.
What?
I can't see it all.
And then she just like shakes her head and then like grabs her horse's reins and pulls herself onto the horse and then just says, "We have to get out of here." And then and
She
gallops
just
off.
leaves me. I
I mean,
can't see.
oh, you can't. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So she says, "We have to get out of here," and then she like holds out a hand, and then she says, "Oh, my hand, a little to the left."
I'm gonna
Yeah.
grabs from your hand.
And she tries to like lift you up into the saddle, and then gallops off. And I think everything seems fine for a little while, except you get just a really eerie feeling, Harhel.
Oh no.
And it's a familiar feeling, and you don't quite like recognize it at first, but you feel like you're being followed.
Hmm.
What do you do?
Um,
You could also make some sort of roll to recover your sight if you wanted to.
oh yeah, that's probably a good thing to try.
Mm-hmm. You could do diffuse
Okay.
with lore, right? You're trying to like basically diagnose yourself and fix yourself internally. Yeah, if you want to roll lore, you can do that.
Eight.
Okay, so on 7 to 9, you've bought some time, but choose one. There's a cost to securing safety, the danger will soon return, or the danger is still present but threatening someone or something else. The danger in this instance being your blindness.
Hmm. Probably there's a cost to securing safety.
Okay. Let's see. What is that cost? So you're like working on your internal systems. You're trying to get your site back online, pretty much. Um, I think probably what happens is you for a moment it looks like you got your site back online, but then something just like overcharges or shorts out or something inside of your systems, and like there's a small like internal explosion that happens. And you quickly get it under control, and your systems like slightly repair themselves, and like your site actually comes online, though a little fuzzy. But you've given yourself another harm box, so you're now bent as well as dinged.
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah, you're not doing too hot here. Yeah, so once your site is up, you look around, and it's not so much that you see them as you see the wake of their passing. There are some sort of they're Tannerin. You're not entirely sure what kind of Tannerin they are. But they're moving quickly, and they're leaving like a wake of dust as they like converge on you. See like 6 different trails of these things like converging on you from behind as you gallop away.
So they're chasing us?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
And Reva hasn't noticed. She's just, piling her heels into her horse's flanks.
I mean, I think you just says, can this horse go any faster?
What?
Can this horse go any faster?
Not really.
Okay. Gosh, I don't know what to do. How far away are they?
Not that far and gaining.
Okay. I mean, I think he just takes out Claymore again and like turns around and aims it.
Okay.
and then he yells for her to cover her ears again.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to think what. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, that's cool. So yeah, cover her ears again. Basically, is what you say. All right. And then you go ahead and attack. Let's see here. This is fiercely assault because you know how to work your thing. So when you use an appropriate weapon to hurt, capture, or drive off your enemies, roll plus force. So go ahead.
Can I get any advantage on this or use data or anything?
You can use data to give yourself advantage, yeah. And these are Tannerin.
Okay. Then I'm going to use data.
Yep. Let's go ahead and roll 3d6 K2 plus 0. So just, 3d6 K2.
Oh, 3d6.
Mm-hmm. It should have been K2 directly after the 3d6, so no space.
Oh.
That's right. So you got a 10 then. Okay, cool. So, Fiercely Assault. On a 10 plus, you choose 2, and the GM chooses 1. So there's a character in character moves, Fiercely Assault. There's a character list and a GM list. So I get to choose 1 option, you get to choose 2.
I'm gonna choose 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then the last 2. Your avenue of escape is clear, and you inflict savage, terrifying harm for frightening your enemies and dismaying your foes.
Nice. Okay, so the things that are like coming after you, they look. Should I see if there's a clear picture I can grab? I don't think so. Oh, that's kind of cool, but no. So they look like this. For your reference, I put it in Twitch chat too. Basically, they have like a squid head, but their body is like a pterodactyl or like just some sort of like fanned winged thing, right? That has a squid head, and they're basically like you can't really see them until they're getting closer, but they're like waking. There's like just dust flying after them because they're moving so quickly. But these are like a minor version of Tannerin that are just like gliding through this wasteland, kicking up dust and stuff behind them. But yeah, you go ahead and take Claimer and blow a mighty blast, and they get scattered. And basically, what happens here is like there's a couple of different points you do this, right? So they get scattered, but not killed, and then come back, right, for more, and you do it again, and they keep getting and every time you do it, they're moving further and further behind until finally they just give up the chase and just fly off into some distant to do something else. And you finally get into the mountains, and my vision is close by. But the thing that I am going to choose for you in that move there is others will come after you.
Oh gosh.
So,
of course.
Yeah. So, we see you eventually. You know, basically, there's a moment of calm where, Riva is just like, what happened? Like, and there's an explanation and a rest after they're gone, and you move on and into the mountains, and you get to my vision. Would you like to describe for us what my vision looks like, and like where it's situated in these mountains, like how it crashed, like
yeah,
what does it look like?
I mean, it's probably kind of awkwardly like stuck between 2 rocks at an angle.
Mm-hmm.
And it also looks like a teardrop kind of shape. Let's see if I can find something on Pinterest that actually looks like what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a almost reflective, like silvery white color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Situated between these 2 rocks, and you get there, and Riva looks at you and she says, "So, how is this gonna work? Are you going to herald my arrival?"
He looks at her completely deadpan, which of course he has no facial features, so
he
you can't
always
really,
looks at someone completely deadpan.
But it's also just part of his personality. And he doesn't comment on the pun.
It doesn't really work in that language anyway. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, I found something kind of the shape of what I'm thinking. I don't know, how would it work?
Okay, sure.
So it's probably situated between these rocks in a way that like it kind of looks like it goes into the mountain a little bit because it's so like
Yeah.
it's deeper than it is wide.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how
Yeah, like I mean,
specifically work with the
do
heralds.
they defend it? Like, are there guards posted outside? Like,
Oh,
what? Right? Like,
probably.
how does that work?
Trying to remember. Have we said anything specifically about?
No, we haven't seen anything from my vision. We just know that it was recently cleared out by the Perihelians,
Right.
and
Right, and it was made like a
it's
safe,
reclaimed, yeah, by
safe
you
place.
guys.
Yeah. Um. Honestly, I don't think there are any guards.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because I
thinking
think
too. Honestly,
it's secure enough that
yeah,
like they don't worry about
yeah. I feel
that.
like the heralds wouldn't worry about mundane things
Yeah.
like that.
Um. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what's the entrance? How do you get in? How does Harhel want to approach? Like, what's that look like? So actually, I mean, the fair question is, I don't think Harahel has actually been to my vision since they reclaimed it, right? Because she's been with Isra doing stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So Harahel might be in the dark as well as to some of the specifics here.
I mean, I
That
think
doesn't mean
they.
you don't know, but
Right. I mean, I don't. um. I mean, I think they probably like. There's probably like an area in like a crack in the mountain somewhere where they can um enter into like the lower part of the ship. Um and so
sure,
they
yeah,
I mean he probably literally just walks up to the door and like
just
probably has some like authenticating um like identification like in his hand or something and just like touches the wall and it
yeah,
opens.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And to anyone who's looking at it, it looks more mystical than that. Like,
Yeah.
but it's probably literally like some sort of like transponder code
Yeah.
in your system. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she says, "Will it be safe to leave Dante out here?" Or
I don't know. Is it
like she's also like wondering, can I even take?
right?
Is it even an option to take my horse inside the spaceship?
Yeah. I mean, I think Harhel like once the doors open, like looks from side to side and sees that no one's coming, and he just like waves the horse in. He's like I'll probably get in trouble for this, but
Sure. Yeah.
because I'm imagining there's some kind of like obviously not a mud room, but like
Yeah.
some kind of like intermediate between the
I mean, yeah. It's a
doorway and any other part of
airlock.
the ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So she takes and Dante like takes a little bit of convincing to like actually like
Yeah.
get in this ship because it's kind of eerie. Um, but yeah, and so you walk in and basically throughout the entire spaceship, there's going to be like missing panels, like things stripped off the walls, like because the perihelions like scavenged the place, right?
Right.
So, it's not the picture of. I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
never since it crash landed here a picture of robotic health
Mm-hmm.
exactly, but it looks even more in disrepair now, like half scavenged. Um, but she probably just like ties Dante to whatever, or just maybe just leaves him in the airlock. It's just part of it, and then you guys enter into the main part. Um, I mean, describe whatever this lower chamber is to us in terms of like really, I'm wondering, like, in my vision, like, do the heralds just hang out? Like, what does a normal day for a herald look like living in this spaceship, right? Like, they don't need to eat or sleep or breathe or drink anything. So what do they do?
Why do they have an airlock?
Fair.
um
So they probably don't, yeah. It's just whatever initial chamber, yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a good question.
Because obviously I assume they would study things. They would probably try to... Some of them would be studying the ship's systems. Like, some of them are obviously, like, in council talking about stuff, but, like...
Yeah. One of the wings of this ship is definitely a, like buffing and, like, anti-rusting place. Like a polishing room.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where they get all spiffed up.
Mm-hmm.
Which Harahel should go find.
Yeah, I mean, you need the issue is you guys haven't had you'll probably have to, like, go search out some sort of surplus to give you professional care. So
yeah, I don't know.
because mainly I'm wondering, like, you entered this lower chamber. Are there people just walking around? Like, is there anyone at all in this room? Or are there literally, like, no heralds actually stay here unless they're doing something? Because most of them are on, like, missions and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's probably
like
the
being
case.
repaired
like,
or whatever.
There's never, like, a bunch of heralds here. Like, I feel like a consistent maybe, like, 15 or 20, like, hang out in certain areas, but other than that, everyone's just kind of on their own.
So it's just like an eerie, empty chamber.
Yeah.
Is everything inside here, like, the same, like, sterile white?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, this kind of, like, spooky alien, like, white, too sterile atmosphere, except it's probably also, like, at this point tracked in with, like, like dust and stuff from the outside because people have been in here and out. There's stuff ripped off the walls. So at one point it looked like this pristine white atmosphere in here. But now it's, like, half scavenged and stuff. So yeah, Riva just, like, is looking around in wonder. And I suppose, like, do you just lead her to wherever the council chambers are? Yeah. Okay. So obviously it's, like, the middle of the spaceship. There's, like, some sort of, like, meeting room. And my thoughts, and you can tell me if this is maybe not what it would look like, but my thoughts would be like a command center that kind of looks like the Jedi Council chambers from Star Wars, where it's, like, this kind of, like, circle and these chairs, like, in a circle, and then there's, like, there's something in the middle of that's, like, this big computer, a bunch of computer screens or something that they're, like, sitting around. But, like, these kind of, like, weird, like, almost like monk-like chairs that they would sit in, maybe all cross-legged or whatever. Okay, yeah.
I don't know if they're dexterous enough to cross their legs.
But yeah, so your direct superior, the person that you usually talk to, the leader of the Forgotten Heralds right now, is a guy named. Let me find where I made this guy. Because you're an agent, right? But the person who has the leader role right now in your faction is a guy named Peliel. And Peliel, I'll send you the pin for him. And I'll use that to actually, like, describe it for myself too. Find it. He basically has a giant long white robe. And has a completely blank white face and a giant, like, frilled mantle that's part of this robe, part of the cloth, that just comes up like a big like headpiece behind his head. And he holds this like long, slender. It is a trumpet, but like it's all decked out in like not decked out, but like it's really this really long, slender, almost staff-like thing that has like this well, like basically looks like Saturn at the end of it. It's like almost like a scepter, but it's like a technically it also has the same function as the trumpets that the other people use. Can make a blast.
Yeah, I love the idea that the certain like sects within the heralds, like they all wear like long, like super important robes for
Yeah.
like their station, but they all look differently because like all the messengers have like super colorful ones, like what Harahel has,
Yeah.
and then like warriors will have different ones,
The
and
warriors probably
like
have like
guys will
almost
have
like
different ones.
carapace armor, kind of.
Yeah,
As from what I've
yeah,
described so far with them, the
mm-hmm.
warrior ones we've seen, that's probably
Yeah,
the case. If that's fine with you, obviously.
yeah.
But okay, so Peliel has an ambiguous gender. So a lot of the heralds have like specific, like obvious genders. Even though they're robots, like Harahel, I think it's at least somewhat easy to tell that he is a male just by the way his figure is chiseled.
Mm-hmm.
But Peliel is specifically ambiguous. He has some sort of like slender features about him, but also like a kind of like a stoutness. He has a wise face. It's obviously blank, but the kind of air around
Yeah,
him is like this kind of wise. He has clouded eyes because he doesn't have eyes. I just went through like the
yeah.
specific things on here, and then a stocky body. The one thing I know about this guy is that Harahel and I sat in council before, and I taught them wisdom. So that's like he's an elder,
Mm-hmm.
in the same one that Beruz is,
Yeah.
same class, and so there's a similar thing where he shared wisdom with you, at one point. His his trumpet relic thing is called Soul Sliver.
Cool.
Yeah, and we see next to him that he has a bodyguard that's always with him. So one of the warrior ones, with his kind of like
Yeah.
carapace like armor. Let me find a specific person to kind of model this after. I think the guy is like very stocky, armored, almost looks like a true knight. Has a giant like shield, like and it's all like this like silvery white, and a long like sword. And his name, his name is Caphriel. Um, so Peliel, Caphriel. And then he has an attendant that's usually with him, a scholar, that like gives him advice and helps him work through some of the more lore-based things. And that her name is Cockabel or Kakabel or whatever. It's probably pronounced Kakabel because that sounds cooler. Um, and she looks almost human. Like she has a blank face, but like she has long silver hair, and like a hood, as part of like these long like white robes that she has. But yeah, so he's sitting there with others of his council, and they're deliberating on some matter. And what, do you just like walk in?
Yeah. Well, probably not. I mean, is there like a door on this chamber, or is
Yeah,
it just like
yeah.
okay? I mean, then he probably knocked on the door.
Okay, yeah. Caffriel probably goes over. We're like seen from the inside of the chamber. Caffriel probably goes over and slides the door open. It obviously it goes like that, because it's a spaceship. And Caffriel's standing there and he says, "Ah, Harahel, I did not realize you were back from your mission."
trying to figure out what his mission would have been.
To study Yseret and
Oh, right.
the Tannerin and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just says, I've gathered more information, but I'm afraid I'm not quite done yet. Had to take a detour.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So he says, and what might that detour be? We are very busy here.
I mean, he just, like, steps to the side and, like brings Riva forward.
Okay, yeah. Caffriel just, like, stares. Why have you brought a human here, Harhel? It's not quite like an accusation,
Yeah.
but it kinda is.
Yeah.
Like any faction, there are people among the heralds who have various opinions about humans and whether or not they like. A lot of them are like, oh yeah, humans are great, but don't ever bring them here. Like this is a sacred place.
Yeah. I mean, I think he just says, Riva is the leader of the Hellbreakers, and she sought your counsel.
Yeah, and you're obviously like talking beyond Caffriel to like Peliel and the others, right? And Peliel has turned at this point to look at you like over his, like he's still sitting, but like we can see him like juxtaposed beyond Caffriel's shoulder. And Peliel stands and has Soul Sliver and is just kind of like looking at you and then says, Caffriel, move aside, please. And Caffriel reluctantly like steps aside. And Peliel takes a couple of flowing non-steps forward and says, the leader of the Hellbreakers, you say? There has not been one of those for some years. Tell me, child, what is your name? Did you say her name already?
Yeah.
Or did you? Okay.
Yeah, he said Riva is the leader of the Hellbreakers.
Got it. Okay, so he says then, or they, I guess, because it's ambiguous. Says, you said, your name is Riva, child, and I think Riva like just kind of does a fleeting glance to you, like she's really unsure as to like the proper etiquette in any of this sort of situation. But I guess she just falls back on whatever makes the most sense to her, and she
my first like instinct for her response would be to say yes, brightness.
Right, like yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something like that. But she probably doesn't know the right term to use.
Yeah, she probably does this. Yes, Holy One, and then does a slight bow. My name is Riva, and I am the new leader. I am the new prophet leader of the Hellbreakers. And Peliel, of course, deadpan stares at her because he can do nothing else. It's very interesting to try to have a conversation in a role-playing game with people who have no face. Because most of the time I describe facial expressions. But Peliel probably just quirks his head. That's probably what he does. And then says, prophet leader, you say? How interesting. You claim to walk in Jedin's footsteps. How true is this, Harahel? And Peliel looks at you.
She possesses his cloak.
Many have possessed his cloak, and some were found unworthy. Tell me, child, have you accessed its power? And Riva blushes. Says, not as of yet, Holy One, but this is part of the reason why I have sought you out. I do know that at one point, the Hellbreakers and the Heralds valiantly served the same god, And I would hope that that alliance has not been forgotten. And maybe aid can be lent in more ways than one. Peliel looks at you again, Harhel. What say you, Harold?
About what?
Do you say that?
No.
Or are you just confused?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know how he would respond to that.
Do you vouch for this woman? From my understanding, Riva of the Hellbreakers was responsible for the capture of 3 of our number.
She was not responsible.
The recordings we gathered from your databanks says otherwise. She was responsible for that mission, and she failed. What could bring us to trust her with something as large as this, after she has failed with little? As the Holy Father says, if one can be trusted with little, one can be trusted with a lot, with much more, with an entire kingdom, perhaps. But she has failed the first test. What reason would I have to trust her now? To risk more of our dwindling number?
How long has it been since that?
Since the mission that failed?
Yeah.
Not longer than a year. Maybe a couple months.
Okay.
So it's still fresh in everybody's memories.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how one herald would address another herald, because I feel like calling another herald Holy One would be kind of weird.
Just probably by name, honestly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right? They probably don't have. You might speak to Peliel differently, but everyone else would just be by name. Like, I don't even know what the ranking system would look like, right?
Right. Yeah.
I would think either name or role, right? So warrior or messenger or maybe preceptor is the title that he has.
Yeah, how do you spell
that? Like that. It basically means a teacher or instructor. Okay. Yeah. So like in this case it would be like someone who's like guiding with wisdom, sort of a thing.
I mean, I think he just addresses all of them, and says, "Heralds, with all due respect, we are not human, and we do not understand the ways that they buckle under pressure in battle. And I believe that Riva was not at fault in not acting as quickly as she could have."
Okay. I mean, it sounds like what's happening here is she's going to make the find common ground move, and you're going to help her.
Yeah.
So, when you ask someone to work with you, roll plus sway. She's going to try that. All right. Yay, 11.
Nice.
All right, so on a 10 plus, they pick one. So the heralds, I'll let you pick this one, since you're in charge of the heralds here. So on the character moves, find common ground. Basically, it's like they'll agree to go along with Riva's, like helping Riva, right? Like joining her cause. But they'll only do it if blank. And so basically, I mean, there's probably more of a explanation of her goals here.
Right.
And it was basically like, she already said this to you, but take down the perihelions, right, once and for all. Take down the oppressors of these people. Gather her allies to do that, and then her secondary goal would be learn how to use the cloak. Like, get any knowledge that you guys have about that.
I mean, I feel like the one that makes the most sense is you give them something now that's worth it, but I can't think of what that would be because I mean, my first instinct was like give them the cloak until they can figure out how to use it. But I feel like that would just kind of be Harahel doing a bunch of research and figuring out how to use it. Like they wouldn't need to take it away from her
Yeah.
necessarily.
And that would be bad for her too because she needs that to like have proper authority.
Right.
And if it's literally just to take it and do research, it's not much of a cost. So
yeah. I mean, I guess you reveal your full agenda here.
Yeah,
I don't know what else.
I think that's a good option because there is a couple of things that I think she's hiding.
Okay.
So Peliel says, I will not trust someone that I do not know. Riva, we would know you. We would know everything about you. And then we will judge if you are worthy. And so Riva, I think, says, and she's like been brought into the room at this point, and everybody's kind of like, the computer screens go up into the ceiling, and there's like a blank space now in the middle of all the chairs. So all the people are looking at her. And she says, my name is Riva. I have grown up among the Hellbreakers my entire life. I took this position upon myself primarily because the Hellbreakers needed a leader. I do not know if I have some sort of holy calling. I do not know if I am actually a prophet. I am using this cloak to lead my people because it is the only way I know how. I would like to become a true leader of the Hellbreakers like Jadin once was, like an unbroken line of prophets once was. But I do not know the way. And I do not know if I am worthy of this cloak. Not yet. But I would like to become worthy. And I think that the heralds are the ones who know most about holiness, about what is right, about who or what is worthy of esteem. I am a fake. I'm pretending so that I can guide my people. But I do not want to continue to pretend. Part of my seeking you out here is to become authentic, become something more than I am. I do not know if it is possible, but it is what I wish. But beyond that, my goals are simple. Destroy the perihelions. Take back what is rightfully ours. Burn their utopia to the ground. Gather an alliance of like-minded of like-minded people who want freedom and what is right to triumph, and destroy those who would oppress us. And part of, I think, why the reason why this works is because I think the heralds know that it was the perihelions that like half scavenged their ship here and tore it apart. And so, and you know, the perihelions have been jerks to everybody. But yeah, I mean, Harahel, how do you feel about that speech?
I mean, he doesn't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
um, I think his basic thoughts are like, wow, okay, she's got high ambitions for a young girl, but
Yeah.
I guess like she doesn't have like any bad motives.
Uh-huh. So Peliel and the rest listen. Peliel nods slowly, and he says, "We can indeed make you into something more. It is right and good for you to reveal your lack to us. I believe we can indeed help you, Riva. The heralds are stretched thin. There are threats everywhere. But we can indeed help you. At least enough to give you a fighting chance. The first step to that, of course, is to unlock the secrets of this artifact and discover if it truly can be accessed by someone like you. We will begin on this immediately." And Riva does the fist thing again and bows and says, "Thank you." And it's like a sigh of relief. "Thank you." And she looks up and there's like a tear in her eye. And that's when a bunch of squid tentacles come down from the ceiling and start attacking
But this is
everybody.
supposed to be a safe place. I thought that was
Yeah,
like.
but they followed you.
But
And okay, so there's a couple of reasons why this is happening right now. One, they followed you. That was the consequence of your failure earlier. Also, if I remember correctly, one of the things that happened because of the what was it? If I remember, something happened with the perihelions that was like they didn't quite. Crap, I don't even remember now. Because when the perihelions came and did this whole I remember what it was. They ticked the. No, that wasn't that was an option that we were thinking about. That didn't happen. There was something else that happened that led me to.
I just don't see why they could
My
like get
brain.
in, because I specifically was able to erase my
Yeah.
need for safety
Yeah.
specifically to this place. Like I could see them like waiting outside the door, but and like us being trapped inside.
Yeah. Man, there was some reason why this wasn't as, but it was probably less obvious than that. Yeah, you're right. So that doesn't happen. But I think what probably happens is the whole ship like shifts.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And Pelia looks at you, Harahel, and says, "What did you bring with you, Harahel?"
Oof. um how we'd respond to that.
I mean, we can just cut right
Yeah.
there, right? And then what are you gonna do about it, right? Is Harhel gonna rush out and like try to combat this thing, or
Probably, yeah.
okay?
I mean, he probably calls the warrior to help him specifically because he's
Peliel
like,
says, "No, Caphriel, you will stay right here. Your responsibility is guarding my person." And
well, there are
Caphriel's,
other warriors on here, right? So I can
I
just go
mean,
find them.
we already said there's only like 15 to 20 people here at any
Well, yeah,
time.
but there's
There's
gonna be
probably
more than
there's
one
probably one or
warrior.
two, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you just like send out a general call.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you get like one or two of the and it's really like these are like you're honestly kind of disappointed that these ones are the ones that come. These are like nobody really likes these guys. They're kind of like weak. They're not really strong. But it seems obvious to you. Everybody else is on some important mission right now. But yeah, these two younger ones come with and brandish their swords. But Riva, I think what happens is you rush off and you're gathering the people and stuff. But then maybe you didn't even really pay attention to Riva. But then Riva like rushes over, and she says, "I can help."
How?
And she looks down at her cloak and then sighs and then just rips it off and like throws it to the ground because she's like, I don't know how to work that thing. It's not gonna help me at all. And I think what she does is she presses a button on her like belt and then suddenly Iron Man exosuit
Oh, dang.
appears. Yeah.
Nice.
And like
Would
Valkyrie.
like to know about that earlier.
I know, right? I mean, you've seen this happen before. Like
Okay.
she had this before. And so you know about it. But she was deafened and whatever.
Right.
But she has Valkyrie wings that pop out of the back. And then out of like her arm guard comes her like car part sword. And she looks at you through her like visor and then says, I know a thing or two. I may not have magical powers. Yeah, I may not have magical powers, but I'm not going to freeze this time.
Yeah, Harhel just says, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and then you rush out to combat this thing. Yeah, so it is a giant squid demon.
Oh, gosh. It's the Kraken.
It's literally, yeah, it's like the flying demon version of the Kraken. And it's like wrapped itself around the spaceship, right? And so you open up the door, right? And Dante is like freaking out at this entrance. But you open up the door and literally it's just like suckers is like right in front of the entranceway. It's pulsing. Yeah, Riva looks at you like, I
mean, I take out Claymore and just like try to blast it like away from the ship.
I mean, okay, I just like to note you are still inside the ship.
Oh, right.
And it's very tight quarters, and if this doesn't like send it flying, it will send you. It will do massive damage like inside this place. Yeah, I think Riva says like, "How do we get out there?" And then I think the heralds look at each other, like the warrior heralds, and they look at you, and then like, and then they just disappear and appear outside because you guys are summoned by the presence of like threats to that which is holy. You can just like teleport and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably feel the tugging in your mind, right? Like the tugging that happens whenever there's a threat to holiness. And it's like, we're summoned to the threat to holiness, and then we just get. So, what does it look like when a herald actually gets like transported?
I think it looks different for each of the heralds, but I think specifically for the messengers, specifically for Harhel, it kind of just looks like he gets like enveloped in his robe, and it just kind of twirls off and then disappears.
Oh, it's like the apparate from Harry Potter, right? Like
I don't know what that is.
That's okay. But yeah, like it twirls into itself. Yeah. I love that. And I think probably for the warriors, it's probably they cut open a portal in the air above them, and it's like this like orange, like this basically like a fiery like sliver in the
Mhm.
air, and then they just like step through it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's epic.
yeah, and then appear, and they're like flying above, and
Mhm.
then Reva's like, well, no thanks, that doesn't help me, and is outside at this point. But yeah, what do? You're outside, and this
Um,
giant kraken squid demon is just like encasing the ship.
I mean, I try to get far enough away from the ship that using claimer wouldn't actually damage the ship, but would
Yeah,
just
sure. You do it on an angle,
hurt
so it's like
the
yeah.
squid. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're just gonna unleash power here, basically. Um, or fight it or whatever. Let's see.
Pierce assault, right? Pierce assault.
Yeah, probably that. Um, except you're really just trying to get it unattached from the ship right now, right? That's your main goal
Yeah.
here. I think
Yeah.
that's diffuse first.
Okay.
So I think you can do this with lore because that's what your trumpet is about, right?
Mhm.
And go ahead and take a +1 because you have the warriors helping you. They're soaring down and cutting into the tentacles, trying to weaken its grip. They're probably like running. That's probably what actually is happening because they can't like necessarily fly. So they're probably just running across the surface of the ship and like slashing into the tentacles.
So what's the specific role here?
You roll lore, then +1 more from the warrior's help.
Okay.
So +2 for you. Oh wow, 14. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean you definitely do it. I don't think there's any consequences. Yeah, you just situation is safe unless changed significantly. Where the danger in this is the ship being hurt or whatever. And so the thing just gets like just ripped backwards as its suckers all come undone as the force of your blast just like sends it flying away. It crashes into a peak and a bunch of rock just like crumbles down, but then it's still like flailing and like flies up into the air and then like is still threatening the general vicinity. But then we see Riva jetpack out of the entrance, and fly. He's literally just fly straight at the thing. Yeah, and I think she calms to you. Except she doesn't have a calm. Never mind. She just yells as loud as she can. Harel, you better back me up! As she's literally just like flying into like straight into it. Yeah. What do you do?
I mean, I guess I just hit it again.
Yeah, you guys are probably just like attacking it
Yeah.
straight out at this point. So I'll have her make the roll because she has force, and then you can help with after the fact. Where's character moves? There we go. All right, plus force. Oof! Wow, she didn't even need it. And yeah, I think basically what happens is she dives straight into its maw, right? Its kraken maw as it opens up to receive her. She flies straight into it, and there's probably a moment where all of you are like, "What? Like she's gonna die." But then we obviously have the moment where she cuts from the inside and like kills the thing. But it's this epic battle sequence, right? The warriors are attacking it. You're blowing your trumpet at it, and then she cuts out from the top of its head, comes out all like gross and stuff. And I think it basically, I mean, it just it collapses to the ground again. It crumbles. She's covered in green goop, standing on top of its head, and she looks at you and it says, I didn't freeze.
Yeah, if he had a mouth, he'd be smiling.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I mean, that's probably it, right? Like, that's probably the session.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to roll unless you wanted to roll to, like, investigate the cloak at all or anything like that.
Um, no, I'll leave that for another time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research rolls today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That makes sense. Cool. Well, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hara held a vibrant, and Riva are bosses. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see if anything else happened here in terms of advancements or whatever. Yeah, you didn't mark any roll moves. You're still an agent. You're still doing stuff. Oh, wait a second. I forgot. The fiercely assault move. Yeah, on a 10 plus, you choose 2 and the GM chooses 1. So I'll let you choose the 2 on fiercely assault, even though Reaper made the roll. And then I'll choose 1 for the GM list.
I think new info and inflicting savage harm.
Yeah, so you definitely like totally rip into the thing as we already described. But yeah, so this is for Riva. So she gets 1 data. The Hellbreakers do, because they've fought some Tannerin and stuff. For my choice, I think. If I wouldn't have already described like the end of the session, I would have chosen the situation to stabilize and chaos will follow. But I think we'll leave that for another time. I'll just say you take harm as appropriate. Unfortunately, giant squid demon thing probably does a lot of harm. So for Riva, that means probably three harm boxes, which means she's feverish. So she's winded, fearful, and feverish. But yeah, some sort of weird, gross Tannerin stuff happening inside there, and she's just not doing too well. So she'll need professional care to heal that. But we can deal with that later.
So what was the new info?
Though technically, yeah, never mind. Okay, we're good. New info. I mean, was basically just like. I mean, it was data about the. I don't know. I honestly don't know what Riva would get information she would get from this. Honestly, I'm thinking maybe would it make more sense to do you scavenge a device?
I don't know.
Simply because simply because of the weird Tannerin stuff, right? Like was there some sort of like weird something or other that's inside this thing that she takes out with her?
I don't know.
You find it's a new. I'm curious. I don't know what the data would be.
I mean, maybe she just didn't know before for sure if she could kill something like that way.
That's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. More battle knowledge. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll add that data to Hellbreakers. Did you spend another data?
Hmm?
Did you spend another data at any point? Did you spend 2 data this session?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you got 1 back, so you're at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. There we go. And then we do zoom out, which I don't think will involve much. Because I think the main thing that happens there is other people do stuff. When events move from zoom in. Oh man, I always forget this. I need to remember this next time we zoom in. You tool up. When you zoom in on a character, you may equip them with any of their family's assets customized to suit their circumstances. For each of your surpluses, pick a relevant benefit. And you can add a tag to a piece of gear for this mission. Get as many copies of a weapon, outfit, or vehicle as needed to outfit the whole party. Add 1 to the quality of a set of followers. Get scouts reports worth 1 data, based on your surpluses. And we always forget to do that. Let's see. When events move from zoomed in scenes to the bigger picture and actions covering blah, 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 each player whose main character wasn't involved, it doesn't matter, because all of us were both involved. So, only thing I can think of at this point is if there's any last minute like family moves that we need to wrap up with based on what happened. Let me just look real quick. I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's it. Cool. That's it for our solo session of the Hellbreaker sequence. That was really fun, Carls. I like that a lot. Awesome. Riva has continued her mission to find her allies. Figure out how to use her cloak. Cool stuff. That's it. We're out.